Hello everyone, peace be upon you all. Welcome to the seventh video where we analyze Ibn Taymiyyah's book Demonstrating Deceit. In this video, we continue reading Cornelia's article where she demonstrates Eunomius's arguments against the Trinity. And we are going to read specifically the subtitle, The Ways in which the term the Ingenerate, i.e., God, does not indicate its referent, and the true referent of the term the Ingenerate. She says, after having proven that he himself is ingenerate substance, in opposition to what is among originated things, and among that which has come into being, Eunomius rules out five modes according to which the ingenerate can be said from the viewpoint of its linguistic form. His method follows Arius inasmuch Eunomius takes all possible ways in which the term the ingenerate can stand to indicate a referent and shows that they are all illogical except one. These ways to which a term can be taken to indicate a referent resemble the Latin medieval modes of signification and kinds of supposition. To understand what she means, we will read the entry on properties of terms under medieval theories in the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. The encyclopedia says, the theory of properties of terms was the basis of the medieval semantic theory. Semantics being the science of meaning in language. It embraced those properties of linguistic expressions necessary to explain truth, fallacy, and inference, the three central concepts of logical analysis. This is an example of an inference. Premise 1. Only man is rational. Premise 2. Loza is not a man. Conclusion. Loza is not rational. So we inferred the conclusion from the premises. Since premise 1 is true and premise 2 is true, therefore the conclusion must be true. It is important to note that when I say man, I am referring to humanity. So only humanity is rational. Loza is not a human. Therefore, Loza is not rational. But if I mean with man male humans, only male humans are rational, that would be false because women are also rational. But the conclusion would still be true because Loza is a cat and Loza is not a human. Therefore, Loza is not rational. But if Loza is a human, if Loza is a woman, this would be false because Loza would be a man in the sense of a human. So this would be false. Here there is a problem. I'm using man in two different senses, same word, but with two different meanings. The first premise, man is male. And in premise 2, man is human. If I switch the meaning, in the first premise, man is human. Only human is rational. This would be true. And in the second sense, male. Loza is not a male. This would also be true. But the conclusion would still be false. Because Loza is a rational human. There is a fallacy over here called equivocation. We are using the same word in two different senses, therefore the conclusion is false. This is why semantics is very important in logic. By the way, a statement that can be true or false is called a proposition. This is important because in logic we analyze propositions. This is unlike a question. Question cannot be true or false. If I ask you, what are you doing? This can't be false or true. If I say, let's do this, this is an invitation. If I command you to do this or that, this cannot be true or false. So only propositions matter in this case. So back to the encyclopedia. This semantic theory of the properties of terms evolved out of the work of Anselm and Abelard at the turn of the 12th century, developed steadily through the 13th and 14th centuries, and was still undergoing changes in the 15th and 16th centuries. It is generally agreed that its early stages were closely bound up with the theory of fallacies, but as a general semantic theory, it developed in response to a variety of needs. And one mistake of modern attempts at interpretation is to seek a unique rationale of one notion or another. Here, we are going to also use the Encyclopedia of Medieval Philosophy by Springer. Egbert Bos from the University of Leiden in the Netherlands says, the expression properties of terms reminds one of the properties of natural things. The medievals considered this an apt comparison. As they themselves often say, things are composed of form and matter, which constitute their substance. The most important component of a substance, such as a man, is the form, i.e., humanity. A substance possesses properties, for instance, a stone's property moving downwards. In the past, according to Aristotle's physics, things moved downwards not because of gravity, but because of their nature. Rocks went downwards just because they had the property of moving downwards. On the other hand, fire and plants just have the property of moving upwards. In the same way, a term can be said to possess form and matter. Natural objects have form and matter. Take a table, for example. A table has a certain matter, wood or plastic or stone, but it must have a certain form to be a table, a form that allows things to be put on it, to be used by humans. So this what makes a table a table. Take for example a horse. Horses and living beings generally have the same matter, cells and biological molecules. But what makes them different again is their form. So the hoarseness of the horse is its form. Terms also have something like that. They have form and matter. The form of the term is the signification, its meaning, its literal meaning, its apparent meaning, independent of its occurrence in sentences. For example, the word hand, its signification is the organ at the end of human arms, the organ with which we hold things. This form can be created from different matter, wood, plastic, and so on. In relation to terms, the matter is the place where the word occurs in sentences. So, as he says, the form of the term is the signification. For instance, hoarseness of horse. Its matter is its actual occurrence in, for instance, a proposition. In this proposition, a term having a signification stands for something. This is the property of supposition. Supposition was a semantic relation between a term and what a term was being used to talk about. So, for example, in the suggestion, drink another cup, the cup itself cannot be drunk. We don't drink cups. We drink what's in the cup, the liquid. So the term cup is suppositing for the wine or the water, for an Islamic example, contained in the cup. The logical suppositum of a term was the object the term referred to. In reality, the object itself. The form of a concrete individual thing is stable, but its matter can change. Likewise, the form of a term, its signification, is stable, that what it stands for can change, its supposition can change. The things for which a term like man stands in the proposition a man runs are different from those to which the same term man stands for in some men were not running, or from that man stands for in man is a three-letter word. The first proposition refers to a certain man who is running. The second proposition refers to some men who are not running on the bench. The last proposition refers to a certain word, not a certain object at all. So the signification is the same in each sentence, but the supposition changes. The object of the signification changes. Back to the Stanford Encyclopedia, we have the property of appellation. Perhaps the term with the most varied history is appellatio, though even so one can discern a common thread running through it. It starts, we saw, as an equivalent of nominatio in Anselm and Abelard, and by the 13th century is used to pick out the present extension of a term, that of which it can be truly predicated in the present tense. So now one should know that appellation is spoken of in four ways. In the fourth way, appellation is said to be the acceptance of a term for a suppositum or supposita existing actually, and our present focus is on appellation spoken of in this fourth way. In other words, appellation is the present belonging of something with another thing, or a property of a term because it signifies present things. Therefore, a word like Antichrist, an individual who is not alive now, though he will live in the future according to faith, does not have appellation, though it has supposition and signification. Now back to Cornelia. She says that Eunomius argues that the term the ingenerate indicates its referent, neither P, according to conceptualization, nor Q, according to privation, nor R, in the way that the ingenerate is in part, for he is indivisible, nor S, in the way that it is in itself as another, for he is simple and uncompound, nor T in the way that it is alongside itself as another, for he is one and only he himself is ingenerate. And here we reach the end of the video, and thank you for watching, and see you later. Peace.